As a youngster, I was really fortunate. We lived near quite a lot of open space, and I spent a huge amount of time out in the wild on my own, playing around, climbing trees, building dens and observing stuff, and decided that I wanted to get into conservation or possibly sort of ranger work, and I went and studied at college, and it was really nice for me to be able to find answers to things I'd observed. So it was quite an easy subject for me to kind of learn, because the observations or the information that I was being given by the lecturer just made sense. I didn't need to question it. It just answered things I was already thinking. It's always been important for me to be able to protect and restore these spaces where I felt really comfortable, and learning how they work and the roles of different plants within these habitats and the animals that are found within them was always really rewarding. So it was a no-brainer that that's what I would be doing with my time. So it's really fortunate that once I started my my conservation course at college, we all had to do a block of work experience. I managed to do mine with Blackwater Valley Countryside and Recreation Team, and was so fortunate that one of the lead ecologists there was a absolute fanatic and really passionate bat ecologist. So we got to go out and we got to climb huge ladders and check in bat boxes, where actually we found bats in tons of those. We got to put waders on and walk down river channels looking underneath tunnels, and road bridges where he'd installed bat boxes under the sort of Section 106 work and funding that they got. And then to top it off, on a new development, they had to make sure they were mitigating bats when they built a golf course. So he got the construction company to install a bat cave, and for me this just seemed such an impressive thing to do. It looked like a really impressive habitat. It was completely vegetated, but actually with the binoculars he showed us there was a perfect vent which was completely the right size for greater horseshoes and lesser horseshoes, which were in decline in his area, but his ability to inspire and encourage them for this quite bold installation of a bat cave really boosted the population numbers locally. All you could see now was the entrance that was the perfect size for greater horseshoes to fly straight in. But actually he showed me the plans, and it's a huge chamber built out of steel. It had to have a concrete cap on it so that it was compliant, but it was completely vegetated when we got to go there. And it just got me thinking that it's only through individuals with really bold aspirations and really pushing the boundaries that we can move beyond really basic and entry-level hibernacular, which is great for your house, buying a bat box or a bird box or a little bee box. These are really nice interventions in a domestic setting, but they're not ambitious enough to restore and protect our depleted nature. That was a really important moment for me, and being just 16 at the time, set me on a path of thinking very high level and ambitious with these projects. Quite often they have to move from wherever they are staying or hibernating overnight, and they have to follow specific features to suitable sort of foraging and feeding locations, and they quite like to follow existing linear features. So that might be a river, a stream, a hedge, or edge of a woodland. So when there's changes in the structure of that habitat, that can confuse them or make them feel more exposed on their migratory journeys. If you're changing land use, you might need to be modifying or removing an existing hedge, or you might be looking to redirect or manage some of that woodland. So a woodland block might be part of a forestry scheme, and obviously harvesting that timber at some point is going to impact the way that feature is used by bats. So understanding that might mean you could target different interventions. You might be able to keep part of the woodland edge, providing that wasn't going to suffer from wind damage, so that there's a remaining feature. You might want to replace that feature or that hedge, although you need to appreciate that putting in small whips isn't going to compensate a mature existing feature, and it's going to be quite hard for bats to be able to pick up through echolocation. It could just look like long grass, so you might need to work with larger or more established plants if you're going to do that kind of planting. I was really fortunate to be able to join Ecology, and I've got quite a nice journey to working with them. I actually worked with Kane and Nick on a project they were doing for the Environment Agency. I helped them manage and restore a really large area of grassland and meadows, and actually worked for them as a subcontractor. And then I just really loved the work that the guys did. I looked at their portfolio and their website, and I decided that, you know, I was really aligned, and they were heading in a similar direction to myself. So I reached out. I spoke to Kane, and we met up, and he asked me some really probing and challenging questions, and I really loved that. I knew he had really high level of ambition, so we were able to move forward and find a position. And what was even better was when I went to the first company day. It was in the summer, and there was a little session, and they were talking through the goals and the visions for the business. And I was sat there looking at this screen thinking, how has this business got the same goals and visions for restoring nature as myself? Spent a lot of my career almost being the lone voice, trying to champion restoring and protecting biodiversity, often when others are focusing on something completely different. So to see that alignment was perfect. We sort of linked straight in, and and just found that really gave me a sort of spring in my step, knowing I was adding to a shared vision.